Make you win. Make you win. Make you win. Make you win.
Yo, check it. I'm all about making it happen, killing instead of yapping. The cheddar stack cat that get it cracking, bringing the action, center of attraction. Late night on the creek trashing, the party crashing, rap with a passion. Not a quitter or a forfeitter. One of them raw rap cats with hollow point rhymes coming to hit ya. I'm targeting my shot at all them fake rappers. The fake wanna be gun clapping cats, claiming they the baddest, claiming that they ran the streets ragged. Knowing they chillin' hard in the village, up in the gay bar, talking to Africans. I'm not a gangster, and I'm not a thug, nor a blood or a crip. Struggling brother, trying hard to get rich. I've been nice in this hip hop shit from way back then. Days of the Jeffersons, good times to what's happening. You niggas want beef, they call my name out. I'm still rocking the Mecca when the soul brother like it just came out.
Let's get it on, Lebanon, strong as an ox. And I spit flows blowing up your audio box. Document my style, cool when I rock. And I rush like the bus, following my blocks. G's up, I'm on the set, y'all niggas freeze up. And I make dirty dollars, turn them into clean bucks. My stock rise, it's cool, no surprise. And them laws and rules you make, I straight defy. Rebel in the highest form, the fifth born, gully nigga on the track. Screaming in psalms, stop the gap, rewind that. Thoughts combine that, criminal minds and rhymes and underline that. Dollar, street scholar, flow then you follow expert. Putting in work for the next saga, so yo, get your lean on, flows your fiend on. With you and them, the 2000 fiend on.
Yeah, you and them sound greater than great. Still low, holding my jizz not my name, hold weight. And you can bet your bottom dollar money more I make. Let's get this cake, son, do what it takes. Yeah, you and them sound greater than great. Still low, holding my jizz not my name, hold weight. And you can bet your bottom dollar money more I make. Let's get this cake, come on. Hold up, pause for the cause, you know. You could call it telephone love tap. High explosive experiment, situate a press up, stay bless up, what's up with you, what you talking? Pocket fill when it fill, yeah, and it's good, like you should. I'm Dino, begs no pardon, borrow no lending, begs no friends, you hear me, all my men's love women. Raw links with mommy Cuban or takes me back to Union, baby girl got cousins and now one of them frontin' you in. Check a flagging me down, faster than sound, how we quick to pick me up in that Lex Dice edition. State your position, back jabbing this phone wishing, miss don't have me win pissing, put in everything, quite good enough talk, you can have a ball and go walk, hear me now, feel me later, Dino brave, smoother than pain, feeling the chick up, keeping the stick up, fire up a candle, sit the wick up,
your life was put out on you, now the harsh fact circles your world act, allow you like a wise author, sci-fi writings and novels, riding over potholes, play King Arthur inside my brothel, the size of waffles, gunshot holes, blowing like the U.S. Marshal, a Louis Armstrong, I knew when the fog's gone, you spotted, and at the same time you shot it, frolic with raps and fiber optics like 4, 5, 6, hard to get at, sharp as an axe, for the jockage, harm a trizac, try to be modest, fiery thoughts burn like L's and chronic, make your lungs black, sip gold, hell in a bottle, flow well in cinema hollow, that's on the house, compliments of my corner morale, how I get down, chase his ass round like cat and mouse. You feel my
I grew up in the confines of suburban Norwalk, Connecticut, a fan of the hip-hop music of Public Enemy, KRS-One, and Rakim. In 1994, at the age of 18, I left to pursue an interest in journalism at New York University. I was always fascinated by the rumors I heard surrounding hip-hop culture about murder, extortion, the laundering of drug money, the connection between criminal activity and the music. Little did I know at the time, that fascination would eventually take me on a 3-year journey into the very complex relationship between hip-hop, violence, and the likes of the NYPD, LAPD, DEA, and the FBI.
We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we dig deep in our history and our doctrine. And remember that we are not descended from fearful men.
These guys will rap about committing acts of violence and selling drugs and disrespecting women. When out on the outside, they're doing the same thing. They're driving around with cars with no driver's license. They're carrying guns. They're getting caught in possession of drugs. They're starting fights in the street. They're starting fights in nightclubs. So their lifestyle that they rap about and their actual lifestyle seems to be the same thing.
They're poets. They're not gangsters. That's obvious. They describe environments that they don't want to deal with or ideas that probably aren't so mainstream but exist every day in the hood, and you know that they exist if it's your job to do law enforcement. You should deal with those people, not the poets.
There is a need for intelligence. Some kind of secret document that just lets people in. For what reason?
This is the hip-hop task force out there, yo.
Oh, I ain't seen the book, I ain't read the book, I ain't heard about the book.
We're being harassed because we come from the ghetto. And they mad that we come from the ghetto and then figured out a way to feed ourselves.
When I was 20 years old, Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas amid rumors of an East Coast-West Coast rap feud. When I was 21, Biggie Smalls was murdered in Los Angeles. Many thought it was in retaliation for the killing of Tupac. When I was 23, rapper Big L was gunned down in Harlem, less than 10 miles away from me. Then up-and-coming hip-hop star 50 Cent was shot 9 times in Southside Queens, New York. The attempted murder is still unsolved.
No prisoners. Shoot to kill. Taking control.
In 2001, hip-hop seemed out of control when a gun battle outside radio station Hot 97 ultimately sent female rap star Lil' Kim to jail.
Enemies got the lead. Hustle up.
Months later, another shooting resulted in the high-profile arrest of Sean P. Diddy Combs and the conviction of his artist protege, Jamal Shine Barrow. In 2002, hip-hop took another blow as Jam Master Jay of the legendary group Run DMC was shot execution style in his own recording studio in Hollis, Queens. In 2003, when the offices of record label Murder Inc. and its founder Irv Gotti were raided by the FBI for the alleged laundering of drug money, the case became the focal point of my investigation of the rumors connecting hip-hop to organized crime, drugs, violence, and the so-called hip-hop police. The federal government's case against Murder Inc. Records read more like an indictment against former mob boss John Gotti, the same man Irv got his nickname from. Not something one would expect from a successful entrepreneur. Included in the charges were allegations of a connection to one of New York City's most notorious drug kingpins. Kenneth Supreme McGriff ran a drug crew in the late 80s called the Supreme Team, responsible at one point for an estimated $200,000 a day in drug transactions in and around the Baisley Park housing projects in Queens. McGriff is currently on death row. The relationship between Gotti and McGriff was at the heart of the federal government's case. Had Irv merely been helping Supreme put his life in order after getting out of jail in the mid-90s? Or was it deeper, as the press and law enforcement seemed to believe?
Connections were made between Murder Inc. and several prominent violent gangsters from New York City, like Supreme. I remember the reputation on the street of the acts of violence by the Supreme Team. They were pretty well known in New York for killing people and for drug dealing.
The Murder Inc. indictment represented an important landmark in the seemingly ever-growing police interest in hip-hop. As I began to look deeper into the Murder Inc. indictment, I kept hearing the term hip-hop cops or hip-hop police being used by almost everyone I spoke with.
Friendly UAV overhead.
You know the hip hop police. There's a hip hop task force out there, yo.
I ain't never heard of it, because I ain't never been arrested by the hip hop police.
I've heard about hip hop police.
There is a such thing as hip hop police. They running around taping and targeting people, but they ain't got no murders on tape.
Hip hop cops, I think them niggas always been there, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing new.
They don't fuck with the hip hop police, man. They fuck with me, they follow me around, man. They in my motherfucking backyard, man, making motherfucking barbecue burgers, man. That's where they at.
They got the hip hop police out there, and they watching, and they be at the clubs. I see them, man. I be in the clubs.
Fuck all the hip hop police, man. You know what I mean? Mind your fucking business. Stop following niggas, man. I feed babies all across Africa, nigga. You know what I mean? And you putting a label on me like that, you wanna follow me?
They monitoring niggas, but they ain't just taking pictures out of cars and following niggas. Believe me, they planting informants in niggas' clicks.
They been targeting rappers. They been pulling young black niggas with money out of cars, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing new to me.
I've been followed, I've been pulled over, arrested, been harassed. I've been doing nothing but positive.
Probably followed every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have 2-3 cars sitting out my crib. I don't know why they follow me. I don't care why they follow me.
They pulled me over for unmarked gun, gave me 5 years, talking about they put a signal on.
Driving up the West Side Highway, pull over, put on the ground for no reason.
Whenever hip hop grow, breathe, there's gonna be somebody oversee it.
I would soon learn that even A-list artists who claim to be targets of the so-called hip-hop cops had no idea who these law enforcement officials really were or why they might exist. Most officials questioned about the rumored secret unit refused to speak on or off camera, made no comment, or categorically denied knowledge of such a task force.
We wrote a letter saying the New York City Police Department was involved in this. In fact, New York City Police Department was leading. The mayor wrote us a letter back. He didn't deny that hip-hop profiling was going on in New York City Police Department. What his letter said, we have no policy. But we didn't write him a letter about the policy. We wrote him a letter about the actions. Because it's the actions of the police department that need to be called into question.
I was given a tape by members of the hip-hop record label Rough Riders. It was a real-life example of the divide that seemed to exist between hip-hop and the cops.
Jaguar 3-0 en route for personal radar coverage. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Take cover.
Under arrest. Turn around. Please don't do this. Don't do this to me, man. What did I do?
Why you do that? I'm not being fucking hit me with the car. I don't care if he's sorry. You're under arrest.
I didn't hit you with the car.
What are you doing?
I didn't hit you.
Calm down, officer.
Stop resisting.
Yo, tell him to stop it. Tell him to put his hand behind his back. All right, T.
I might have that on tape.
Nah.
What? Personal problem. Nah, I'm hired to do a job. You can't take my tape. You can't take my tape.
Racial profile and send me straight to the island. Hit me with the nightstick, the captain starts smiling. The foul smell of the ghetto will burn your nose hair. It's forbidden, so no one goes there. The struggle never stops. Still we wake up to spoiled milk with roaches crawling out our cereal box and feed us lies, blind our eyes. If your hand the same color as mine's, black and rise. All my gangsters, soldiers in the prison, don't worry, it's a totally new beginning.
Have to reload.
On March 9, 2004, an article in the Miami Herald reported that police from New York City were sharing law enforcement strategies for the hip-hop industry with the Miami Police Department. Then the article mentioned something else: the existence of a secret book supposedly compiled by the NYPD that included surveillance information on many A-list artists and hip-hop executives. The secret book allegedly included surveillance notes on various artists, criminal rap sheets, and other sensitive information on many of the hip-hop industry's biggest names. In the summer of 2004, I filed a succession of Freedom of Information Act requests with the NYPD, the LAPD, and the Las Vegas PD, asking for information and documents about the Murder Inc. investigation by the FBI, the raiding of feared hip-hop mogul Suge Knight's offices by the DEA, and the rumor that Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls were both being followed on the night of their deaths by the ATF, DEA, and FBI. The last request was sent to the Miami Police Department, specifically asking for a copy of the secret 500-page hip-hop surveillance book. Since every single Freedom of Information Act request I had ever made was denied, I never expected to receive anything back from the Miami Police or any police department for that matter. I received a call from a woman who claimed to work in the public records office of the Miami Police Department, asking me for a FedEx account number and for me to send her a shipping box. 2 days later, a package was delivered to my office in Manhattan. I was amazed that the Miami Police Department had actually sent it. The rumored 500-page hip-hop secret book, the dossier, was in my hands. The biggest names in hip-hop were in the book, not one or two, not even 10, but hundreds. Names like P. Diddy, Damon Dash, 50 Cent, Irv Gotti, Nas, Kenneth Supreme McGriff, Ja Rule, Lil' Kim, and Foxy Brown. Personal information, social security numbers, addresses, and license plates were front and center and on full display. I was overwhelmed by the amount of information in the dossier and what it might reveal about the underbelly of hip-hop. What did the book mean? Why did it exist? And who was responsible? Was it the NYPD or some other agency? I felt it was my obligation to go to some of the more notable people in the book and get their stories and reactions.
Oh, y'all got my mugshot over here? Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. This shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. This shit is so crazy to me right now, dude.
They looking at niggas like we're crime bosses, like we ordering hits, mafia hits and shit like that. For them to even make a book like this and have niggas in here like this, you understand what I'm saying? It's crazy to me, man.
It's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? It's very disrespectful.
It scares the hell out of me because if they're just targeting a group of blacks without any reason for them being targeted, who's next?
The original book that I saw, Eminem was in it, Vanilla Ice. There were all forms of gangster rappers in there. And there were white ones, there were Hispanic ones. Anybody that had the potential for violence or anybody that we felt could impact on the violence in our city was placed in there.
I'm on some positive shit. I'm trying to, I'm trying to elevate some minds, but you want to profile me.
I think y'all motherfuckers ain't seen shit yet. They been had books like that, you know what I mean? It's the fucking government, dude. Niggas that you don't see, so, I'm not surprised. Y'all niggas crazy in YPD, man. Y'all better keep y'all ass away from California system, man. We don't need this bullshit. Oh my goodness, is that Clue?
Yeah.
What y'all want from us, man? Get out of a nigga dick. Oh my goodness, look at the people y'all have in here, man.
The book reminded me of books. My father was accused of being an organized crime figure, and it's funny because the book looked exactly like the book that they created for the Italian Mafia or La Cosa Nostra or whatever you want to call it.
This some bullshit. It seemed like they're trying to set us up to do bad when we only doing good.
It's wrong to just target people for assumption. So I think that y'all should change y'all shit around, man, and find a new hustle, a new way to clean up the streets.
This is a good idea. It's a great investigative technique. It's brilliant. We can react after an act of violence occurs with this intelligence that we gathered. Look at these photos. Know already in advance where they hang out, where their studio is, where they record, and process the arrest.
There's a level of undermining that goes into our culture that wants to keep the handcuffs on any potential situations of power.
They watching everybody, they definitely watching Fat Joe, because my image is that I'm the Don.
In their eyes, we're making all this money, we're flashing it. They see all the big cars and all that, and they want to catch us out there doing something.
They really hating and they mad that niggas found a way to do something better with their time and construct them. So they just trying to pull up old shit. A lot of them people in that book is now CEOs, presidents of companies, own clothing lines and all of it.
In my neighborhood, there was always a book with everybody in the neighborhood and what everybody did and who they thought was doing what. It's just what the police do. They just reach for straws. But the minute I can't get into a club or get a loan or, my business gets affected by it, then I'm gonna have a problem with it. Until then, they're just wasting their time and they clowns about it.
These guys are not your normal citizens. They're carrying illegal guns. They're not registering their guns. They need false IDs because that's how they travel.
We're not paying attention to what's going on in the South Bronx or in Brooklyn. We're following Fabulous around Midtown Manhattan. That's a waste of our tax dollars.
For the police department to target an industry because there is a small number in that industry that did something violent, I think that was a cause for alarm, and I believe that some form of civil action should follow how the police department is reacting to it.
Now rap is having an impact on people in a positive way. Now they trying to bring that down also.
Has there been violence in the hip hop community or in the rap community? Yeah, of course. There's been violence, in all sorts of communities. To apply it to one, cultural movement is ridiculous. It shows us how ignorant and it shows us how frightened people are.
They say it get greater later, but it always get worse first. Always. Like, how can you do this? Like, what's the purpose of this? Is an indictment.
They shouldn't follow me. Right. Now I'm Reverend Runner. If they got a whole file on me in the police station, they're wasting their time.
I don't look at it like profiling or anything like that. I mean, I've been around long enough to understand, these are the people that are in the business. I've worked on organized crime, and I've had books that are all white, all Italian. This is nothing specific to any particular race. This is the investigation you're working on.
The 500-page police surveillance book was rumored as having been used as a law enforcement information sharing tool that was passed around various police departments, including Pittsburgh, Miami, Denver, and Los Angeles. The book contains a number of different kinds of profile pages. The two most common are the hider profile page and the record label profile page. The hider profile pages usually contain a mugshot, personal information such as a social security number, addresses, along with FBI case numbers, NYSID numbers, and a listing of criminal charges filed. HIDA investigates drug trafficking. Few of those profiled in the book have drug offenses listed on their HIDA profile sheet. The record label profile pages are typically more extensive. They contain home addresses, lists of vehicles registered to the artist, frequented locations, and associates. The book groups artists together by their record labels or crews, which are listed prominently at the top of each page. In the cases of some, there is even more extensive surveillance information.
I was in the hood when 9/11 went down. So eerie, we could smell the dead bodies uptown. So just imagine how it was in New Orleans and Mississippi. Folks fighting for their lives because Bush was too busy. Just watching the footage break me down in tears. Money wasn't right, so I donated there. I feel bad, I know they hurt for sure. Like their living conditions wasn't worse before. No food, no water, what y'all expect them to do? If I was there, shit, I would have been stealing too.
Hip-hop profiling is defined as an insidious form of cultural profiling and bigotry. It is the unwarranted and unjustifiable actions, practices, and policies of police and law enforcement officials that target hip-hop artists for surveillance, harassment, arrest, and brutality. Hip-hop profiling is not right, should not be tolerated.
We go into the Grammy party, some minivan with about 4 to 6 cops was in it. What's up, Busta Rhymes? I just wanted you to know that we're gonna be, if you see a little car in your rear view mirror, whenever you're moving around for the next couple of weeks, we just want you to know that it's us, and we're gonna be following you. I said, I don't want y'all to be following me because y'all ain't on my payroll. So you ain't really following me to protect me, you following me to investigate me. I got out the car, I went down in the train station, them dudes got out their car and walked with me into the train station. And I said, I'm waiting on the train. You wanna follow me? Cool, we're gonna ride on the train all the way to wherever I feel like going. Y'all just come follow me then.
Today it might be them, tomorrow might be you. And that's why we have to work together. So when you show a book like this, a documented information about people in the hip hop community who have been followed, their rights have been violated. There's no justification. They can't even begin to say that these people were engaged in illegal activity. We suspect it, and that's the change in the recent laws.
In searching for concrete answers about the reported surveillance in the 500-page book, I sat down with Lou Savelli, a former member of the NYPD. Savelli was one of the most decorated officers within the force. He was the founding member of the gang unit, which was formed in 1996.
Most of the time that we've actually done surveillance on rap groups, it was because of the protection of the actual group itself. I don't remember any incidents specifically where we actually followed a rap group around looking to catch them doing something. For example, 50 Cent. He was followed around several times because of the fact that we felt he was in danger. Busta Rhymes is another rapper that we felt that there was potential for him to get hit as a result of a murder contract or an act of violence. He was put under surveillance. You know, he acted like he didn't like it, but I think deep down inside he really felt that it was good that we were there to protect him, but it kind of hurt his street credibility a little bit.
Derek Parker was said to have been the lead detective in the NYPD gathering intelligence on the hip-hop industry. Coincidentally, Parker trained under Lou Savelli in the Gang Intelligence Division. It was said that Parker was dismissed from the NYPD after he became too close to the subjects he was supposed to be investigating, the hip-hop stars.
We are losing ground. Focus. If someone calls 911 and says something happened, that's legitimate. But for you to just follow people around, I think that is fucking illegal. And I think that we fought for rights, black, white, green, purple, whatever you are. There's a thing called civil rights. And there has to be somewhere in there that shit is dead fucking.
Were the civil liberties of the artists and executives being violated? If they were, what were the implications? If they weren't, how could the book be explained? I was being pulled in two directions with each new interview.
Reloading. We don't make a hot record, then we can't feed our families. We're not racketeering. We're not, we ain't got prostitution. We don't sell drugs or guns. So why would the government make a unit for rappers? The ops is on everybody anyway. So why start over a hip-hop cop unit? Might as well just say just aim at niggas.
You know the feds are always watching. We know federal agents. We know what's going on over here. Rap boys and little niggas, they watching.
You find out their lifestyle, you find out where they go, when they sleep, when they're up, who they party with, who they rock and roll with, who they talk to.
Imagine how they feel. It's like somebody got their finger in your eyeball. Do you feel comfortable with somebody's finger in your eyeball? And they just sitting there.
It wasn't so long ago that racial profiling was uncovered as an act that was being conducted by police, and actions have been taken to shine a spotlight on that to stop it.
There is nobody targeting the rap industry. We're targeting violence and crime. Never before have we ever seen this amount of violence in any industry.
It's fucked up for us because we give people roofs over their head, we create livelihoods for people, jobs and shit like that. And they don't look at it like that, and they don't put all the positive shit that we do in the papers, and they don't put the shit on the news. They just wait for us to slip and do something bad and shit like that, then they put it out there.
When I get pulled over in a car and the police play me in front of my child because I'm rhyming, it's about them making sure that my children from young see that we ain't shit here. And whenever they say we gotta jump and ask how high and strip butt-ass naked in the middle of the street and get arrested and harassed and manhandled in front of all these people to see, they quietly fear in us so that we can never identify with the fact that that fear really comes from them being scared.
As a detective for nearly 18 years of my 20 years as a member of the NYPD, I know investigations, and I know the necessity of having intelligence and being aware of associates and being able to have sort of a file on certain people that would have a propensity for violence. It's smart. It's good investigative technique.
Why is this person showing up repeatedly in this criminal's life? And until you eliminate that other person as an associate or part of the problem, that person's going to remain under surveillance.
Where I come from, a killer might be my best friend. Where I come from, a stick-up kid might be the cat who takes my son across the street to school. They use that as a pretext to get involved. Oh, you're associating with a known felon. Shit, he's my cousin.
You follow Puffy around. Somebody who you know is a known killer. He visits Puffy. He goes home. You continue to follow Puffy.
They're gonna pull everybody up that ever had anything to do with record business. And then they're gonna look at everybody who was arrested. It's putting an MO together of a group of individuals.
Government has, in the Bush administration, dramatically expanded its electronic and other forms of surveillance of people simply because they're engaged in political activity.
Even within the New York City Police Department, there are obvious problems with a particular unit being devoted just to the hip-hop industry. To make matters more complex, both Anthony Miranda and Eric Adams, veteran NYPD officers, claim they themselves were put under surveillance by the department.
We don't know the extent of the surveillance. We don't know if they actually tapped our phones, but they did monitor our phone records. They did look into who we spoke to. They did follow us.
The standard is so low now that they can surveil anybody they want to and justify it. And then later on say, oh, I'm sorry. But what are you sorry about exactly? Taking pictures of my wife, taking pictures of my kid, taking pictures of my babysitter? What part of that are you sorry about?
6 months into my research of the interaction between law enforcement and the hip-hop industry, and after filing a total of 12 Freedom of Information Act requests, I stopped receiving my mail for a period of a month and a half. No letters, no bills, no junk mail, no catalogs, nothing. A few weeks later, all my mail showed up. Coincidence or not, there was a letter from the IRS. I was personally being audited.
I'm not a gangster, not a thug, and I'm not street. But all I need's a DJ to drop me a hot beat, and I'll spit flames long as the mic is crisp, make a hit, and then my ass is twice as rich. The problem is, you don't understand the power it is. Anybody who hears it just devours the shit. So for real, it's up to you. You can take it or leave it. I just showed you the scale. I don't make you believe it. But I'm appealing, I promise, no matter which bitch hear it. I could eat alphabet soup and then shit sick lyrics. I got a formula down, some rhymes and some curses. I don't even spit punchlines, I spit punch verses. I'm a damn instant classic, and I'll ask with a smile if the problem has created and then mastered a style. Hell yeah, you hear that sound after spitting that round. I don't even do free shows, man. I'm sitting back.
The violent headlines, arrests, bulletproof vests, and shootouts translate into more record sales. The figureheads of the industry know that this street image sells the records, but their official position cannot be in favor of this.
So once rap became this accepted thing, it's like, well, not only does it has a value, but now it has a value where it also spreads to white America, adding into its equity as a business. It took on a whole nother thing. It's like, grab a hold of it, of the control aspect of it, because it's profitable.
They mad because niggas get money. Like, niggas off the corner, niggas off the street, niggas that came home from doing 10, 12, 20 years in jail, coming home getting a legal business, making millions of dollars. Getting powerful from a business that we get to glorify the shit that we live, shit we talk about, we make millions of dollars off of it.
When niggas get money, you know what I mean? The system gets funny. As simple as that.
As hip-hop gets more and more money and gets more and more prestigious, and there are more and more bad acts that occur, they're going to bring more press to their attention. When you bring the press, you bring heat, and there is no rush to justice here. They're going to look into it because that's what says they can. The law says they can do that.
It just shows that, you know, this culture, they really don't believe people from the urban environment or place are just savvy enough or smart enough to just make money in the corporate way. They always feel like it gotta be from the street.
Hip-hop is mainstream popular culture. It is Madison Avenue, and the powers that be realize that too much is at stake. Multi-million-dollar licensing deals with Reebok, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and other luxury brands that are endorsed by the stars. P. Diddy even visited Wall Street for the Warner Music IPO in 2005.
Being able to prove to the rest of the planet that we're trendsetters and that other people can profit off of it. So I think people, to a degree at this point in time, are starting to look at us as a money machine.
The major corporations and European conglomerates who buy and sell hip-hop culture distance themselves legally from the problems, sitting back collecting checks and keeping their financial interests safe. This was never more evident than with the indictment of Murder Inc. Records and Irv Gotti. At its peak, it was a company darling for its parent, Universal Def Jam, grossing $200 million per year in record sales.
I remember when Gotti was working at Blunt Records before I went to jail to help organize the Rockefeller and Def Jam merger. He got DMX signed, he got Ja signed, and that's where he started at. And then from him working that so good with those artists being successful, Def Jam gave him the label.
With the pending allegations of the laundering of drug money, Universal Def Jam decided the best thing to do was to get out of its contract with Murder Inc., even before the case was played out in a court of law. There was a developing consensus that hip-hop's influence within white suburban America played into law enforcement's obsession with the criminality that permeated parts of the industry.
Due to demographics on the sales of hip-hop music, it's bought in white, suburban America. They wear their pants hanging off their ass too. But if three of them on the corner out in Long Island, Riverdale somewhere, they're not getting pulled over.
But they rap about all this shit. They gotta live up to it. Because now, all these wolves out here, you want to extort them. But they really can't live up to it. But they want to at least look like if they live up to it. But they roll with a few dudes who do. And so now, ignorant shit happens. If I got beef with you, I don't want you to know I got beef with you. I want you to think I'm your friend so I can lay you down later without nobody knowing about it. These dudes beef and make records about it, nigga. I'm gonna just say, I already know what the fuck you mean.
I could just sit back and live. Like, you're gonna question why you're getting targeted when you portray yourself as that and talk about that shit on records. How are you even gonna call yourself a criminal if that's what you want to portray? Like, you know who the best criminals are? No, you don't. That's why they're the best criminals.
Niggas ain't knocking out nothing, niggas ain't shot at nothing, niggas ain't robbing no banks or no jewelry stores, niggas ain't snatching change for real, that shit is all an act.
It's just a business. You go to the movie and see Schwarzenegger shoot 38 people up in it, you know, it ain't good.
To make music, period, is positive. Yeah. Whether, no matter what you're talking about, because you gotta talk about your experiences, what you went through. 50 Cent in the club makes people feel good. Jay-Z, Big Pimpin' makes people feel good. You can get so wrapped up in that melody that maybe you forget about the hardships that you're going through. That's our job.
With the American dream, it's what kids want to be in America. Isn't this what we're supposed to come from now? Someone make something, touch the masses, the little kids look up to us.
The white people love hip-hop, the Asian people love hip-hop, the Latinos love hip-hop, the black people love hip-hop, the old people love hip-hop, the young people love hip-hop, the killers love hip-hop, the pimps love hip-hop, the police love, everybody loves hip-hop.
They're coming home to their sunny and green pastures, and they're walking into their children's room, and they're looking on the wall, and they're seeing 50 Cent on that poster.
Man, this guy got shot 5 times and he survived. What? You understand what happens at that point? They go, what? He got what? And how many times? And you're listening to this shit?
You have to understand, when these people, many of them come from the ghettos. They never had any money. They had the music and their talent. And all of a sudden, they're thrust into an arena like a lottery winner. But they still haven't lost their ghetto mentality, so they get themselves in trouble.
Snoop Dogg's been a star for 10 years now. Let's go talk to him. He's the same damn motherfucker he was 10 years ago. He hasn't developed himself. He has more money.
You know what they gotta think to themselves? Man, these guys are making millions of dollars legally. These guys are in my house. If you're Bloomberg and you're watching TV and your daughter is dancing to 50 Cent, and I'm sure Bloomberg said, okay, pull his rap sheet. Are we talking about this guy right here? My daughter is dancing to this shit? You understand when Bush's kids are going to goddamn 50 Cent concerts when he's thinking to himself?
If people believe that this is not scaring the mess out of suburban America, they don't fully understand the fears of suburban America. This is a concerted effort to do what they can do to crack down on these multi-millionaires that are impacting on their children.
A lot of it is a study in power. Politicians look at the hip-hop community and they say there is potential power there. And it can be power that can help them or it can be power that can hurt them. But there is no doubt that there's power.
It's the soul-breaking grammar, disrespect in your breath. The niggas who rhymes and figures out. I'm like a fag on a date because I'm taking niggas out. Cloud reply, more techniques than clock range. Niggas say it's mock strange, O's cause I'm that strange. I got the act, nigga attacking me. Niggas know the race. My be bumping like Craig Mack's face in mind with this. In time they want to see me get down in 3D. 313, I'm rowdy. And like Easy E, I'm like Audi. Before you place bets, it ain't safe yet. Yo, you beat me, it's like Easy E doing safe sex. It never happened, it never will. I grab a microphone and drills with this. My kid.
There seemed to be an obvious and growing disconnect between law enforcement and those in hip-hop. To compound the issue on both sides, a movement called Stop Snitching or Kill All Rats began to gain wide momentum within inner cities throughout the United States. It's also become a trend within hip-hop culture.
Kill all rats!
There's a code of some kind that you don't rat on someone else. You know, there are times when you have to break that code.
I think the ones who's doing more harm to us than the police in uniform is the ones without the uniform. The ones who grab microphones and be on stage rapping. If they snitching and they telling they doing a police job. So we really can't speak on what's going on until we stop all these motherfuckers between our own backyard.
You can just tell a snitch. A snitch just got a different smell to him, you know what I'm saying? Different walk to him, a different look to him.
You in the streets, man, you play by street rules. You don't go snitching on niggas, you don't go telling on niggas. Sammy the Bull killed 50 niggas and he snitched. If Sammy the Bull could snitch and he killed 50 people and you a nigga that ain't killed one person, you feel like you can snitch and it's okay too.
The Stop Snitching movement is based on street code. What's done in the streets stays in the streets, and anyone involved in the game does not speak to law enforcement. There's one simple ethos: death before dishonor.
Death before dishonor, man. That's not really a statement. That's one of the codes of the streets.
Gangs tend to want to take care of things themselves and end up with revenge instead of actually giving information to the police. But some rappers will actually put in their lyrics to let us read between the lines and actually give us information so they're not known as a snitch.
The most famous example involving snitching within hip-hop and its connection to law enforcement was a song called Ghetto Quran by 50 Cent. The song details the Southside Queens drug trade that 50 grew up with. It has been reported in the media that 50 went as far as to tell detectives to read his music for investigative clues.
That nigga mouth run like a faucet. With all that loose mouth talk, that ghetto Quran bullshit. He's saying Preem was the businessman and Prince was the killer, all this shit. These is real names he named.
Nigga Curtis Jackson, you can call him what you want. I'm gonna call him nigga by his name, because I don't have no respect for the nigga. Curtis ain't the only nigga out here snitching and ratting, you know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of them niggas, man. Them niggas a straight faggot, and I know because I came from out of that motherfucking camp. The rest of them niggas too, man. Yayo Banks and Buck and all them niggas, man. Them niggas just faggot niggas, man. What was your next question?
If the mob was broken up, these are guys that were sworn to live by the sword and die by the sword.
and nothing was ever going to be told. And I will tell you that with my experience, in my 23 years, that everybody talks.
In response to the Stop Snitching movement and the DVDs promoting Stop Snitching that spread throughout the inner cities, the Baltimore Police Department put out their own DVD entitled Keep Talking. The Baltimore Police used information and footage from at least one of the Stop Snitching DVDs to locate and arrest local drug dealers.
The men and women of the Baltimore Police Department would like to thank the producers of the Stop Snitching video. If we didn't know before, now we know the faces in the game. In fact, 3 of the people in the video have already been arrested, and they won't be coming home for a while. We've arrested the so-called cameraman with bags now. So if you can find another cameraman, make another video. Go ahead, keep on talking. We're listening. Let's go, yo.
The kids say you ain't did it, we're gonna let you go. Yes, officer, of course. I'll be more than willing to come down to the hospital. This is a stand-up dude, you feel me? So he's like, oh yes, officer, that's Poppy. That's the one who shot me. That shit, my heart dropped, because this is a stand-up nigga, you feel me? But he said, yes, officer, that's the guy who shot me. Poppy, I'll see you in 10 years, all right?
See, that's the problem. There's a mentality there of reverting back to what you would do as a kid, as a teenager on the street, when somebody insults you, your friends, your girl, and you resolve it on the street. That's not the way you work. That's not the way you act in business.
The bottom line is they're committing the acts of violence. We don't make them shoot each other. We don't make them kill each other. We don't make rappers die as a result of violence. They do it themselves. And as a police department, we got to go after them if they're committing acts of violence.
Another example of the power of the death before dishonor mindset occurred in October of 2005. Harlem-based rapper Cameron was shot waiting at a light after leaving Washington, D.C. club H2O. D.C. detectives are looking into possible motives. A targeted killing is one of them. Cameron refuses to cooperate with police or answer any questions about who shot at him, and police officials have stated that he may be subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury about the case.
Well, part of our problem with investigating violence within the rap industry, especially murders of famous rappers that we've known about, is a lack of cooperation from the witnesses. Most of the witnesses are people within the rap industry, people who are afraid to talk, people who don't want to be known as giving information to the police. How do we get together with an industry that's kind of stonewalled us and have, basically taught lies to the media that we're going out there targeting them when we're not? You would think if your family member or your camp member or your entourage or your rap member has gotten hurt or killed, you'd want to cooperate with the police, but they don't.
On a trip to Los Angeles to interview Suge Knight and other West Coast hip-hop artists, my film crew and I were followed on 3 separate occasions. The same unmarked vehicle followed us to the Death Row Records offices, to a local recording studio, and to a street interview on Wilshire Boulevard. That same day, during a rooftop interview, my crew spotted a man apparently taking photographs of us from an adjacent building.
It started getting to the point where there's too much bitch shit going on. It's like if you scared about something, every time something happens, they want to blame us. If I go outside and, fuck a bitch too hard, they want to give me a new case. At the same time, those other dudes who support the police and work for the police, and that's never gonna happen.
Any rapper saying those kind of rhymes in this day and age, in this period of time, trying to battle Eminem is worse than David Starr trying to battle Groove IQ, be fat and bizarre. You ain't got no style, especially not delivery. Not to brag, I don't mean to boast. Look, my face is fair, but you look like you seen a ghost. You don't need a bulldozer. Stop up out of the top and tear this building down, because that's the only way your record shop.
On the surface, law enforcement appears to be buying into and acting upon the images and lyrics portrayed in the culture of hip-hop. It is taking the art form of music and connecting the dots by translating the creative expression into federal investigations and arrests.
Seems understandable that they may be listening to lyrics and finding clues, because there are certain MCs that are telling stories and real life truths of real life gangsters and what they did and where they were and where they did it. Why wouldn't they?
It'd be the first thing I do. I'd pull every one of the copyrights and I'd start looking. And if they said, we did this, and I'd match them up with the days these people were murdered and what happened. And if they're communicating by their songs, they're giving a history of their bad works.
Print of Them Lyrics by Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash murdering Delia. Country music is way more violent than hip-hop music. These country guys, they're safe. They got the hats, you know. It's,
If they're taking verbal words serious, then they're gonna feel that they're justifying what they're doing. But is it right? It's just not right.
That give him a reason to listen to your album now. And let's investigate him. You talking about he's selling cocaine on his record. Let's find out if he really doing that. That's what they did with Lil' Kim. They opened right up her album. She talking about she don't know this man. They open her album and see she shot him out. But that just lets you know they listening, they watching, they reading. Hip-hop ain't just this little baby that ain't nobody paying attention to no more.
You're doing videos about it. You make movies about it. You know what I'm saying? You glamorize the shit. You romanticize all this shit, and then you wonder why they're investigating. You obviously never hustled before, because the last thing you want to do is you want to put your hustle on a record and describe it for everybody. So then you wonder why they fuck with you. Come on.
You got all these dudes running up on the DVDs with guns and all that crazy shit. Yo, real gangsters keep their dirt in the closet.
And I'm not saying who's gangster and who's not gangster, but if you put that tag underneath you, see what I'm saying to you, then people gonna perceive you to be that.
If you want to make people believe you are a menace to society, you are a badass, you are a troublemaker, that's easy enough. Now try to unconvince people of that. They've assisted these people in undermining the integrity of that genre of music. They've made it easy for them to criminalize because they claim criminality.
The ones that who be chasing motherfuckers around like the hip-hop cops, because niggas get on record and talk about, I stay with my toast, I stay with my gat, wearing bulletproof vests on the outside of your shirt, you're gonna draw attention to yourself. So when you get caught with a gun, it shouldn't be a big surprise if you on every motherfucking record talking about, I stay with my gun. If I was a fucking cop, I'd pull your ass over too.
The bulletproof vest compounds the issues. The police know 50 Cent's running around with a bulletproof vest. They're not pulling him over saying, hey, you're running around with a bulletproof vest, because they know what the issues are. They're just watching and hoping maybe we'll be stupid little animals and do something stupid and they could arrest everyone.
See, you can't have that kind of activity and not have the FBI, the DEA, and the local police to get interested. See, because once the police know you're wearing bulletproof vests, then they assume you think somebody out there might want to shoot you. Then the question becomes, why do they want to shoot you?
What you feel about these rappers running around bulletproof vests and all this
What,
security?
like me?
Yeah.
I look at it like I got shot before. If a nigga ain't got shot, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't tell a nigga nothing.
We're talking about people that averages